Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It is July 14th, 2022. I'm going to do a series on getting started with HGSI because it is a complex program, but it's also a very powerful program. And programs like this, power and complexity kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to simplify it for those of you who are just getting started. Now, the standard risk disclaimer is here. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you're not an HGSI member and you want a free 30-day trial, just go to this URL. You can go to highgrowthstock.com and you'll find the link. And you'll also get my files from the Insider Club and 30 days of access to that. Now, what I'm doing is eliminating a lot of files. It's I do a lot of experimentation, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So I'm going to simplify the process for you and limit the number of files you're going to receive in this add-on. Now, this is the designer. And I've stripped everything out of here except what comes with the program. You can see there are what we call reference groups. This is the database of files that comes from the data provider. The data providers are Barchart and Zax. And you can see that there are other files in here. They're not all from the data providers. There are industry groups that have been put together by HGSI, and we are responsible for updating these industry groups and sectors and so on. But all of this other data up here comes from the data providers. And you can see there are the major market components here, major market indexes, and what we call market breadth. This data here is for the end of day market breadth for the chart. One of the charts that I show every day, the NASDAQ. That's the information that's contained in that folder. And then we have custom groups. These are groups that are created by HGSI every day. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. This is a permanent group, COVID-19 related stocks. This group is generated every day, the HGSI Top 50, which is made from the user smart groups down here. The stocks that appear the most in these smart groups. I said user smart groups, I meant the regular smart groups. The stocks that appear the most in here are in the top 50. In here you'll find a lot of stocks that are on the move, and a lot of high relative strength stocks and so on. And this is updated every day, plus there's the history. And also, if you go up here to the tools and select the HGSI Groups report, it will show you the stocks that are in here and the number of times they appeared in these smart groups today. So, for example, LNTH appeared 13 times, and these are all of the smart groups that it appeared in. If you like to trade options, these are the most active options on the CBOE and the OCC. And then we get down into the smart groups. These are smart groups that are created by people like me. They're based upon filters and combo rankings. And you can see there's a variety of people in here. My contributions are in this folder with Ian and Woodward and Ron Brown. Ian unfortunately passed away about 6 years ago now, and his name is still in the program because he had so much to do with the development of the program. Here's Jeffrey Scott, Larry Connors, Gil Morales, some familiar names to you. And then down here, there's nothing in here right now, but there will be. And then user smart groups, there's nothing in here, but there will be when I populate this, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going under my preferences menu, and I'm going to install an add-on, and it's called Ron's starter package. I will open this, and it's adding these files, and there aren't very many of them, so it doesn't take long. Now let's take a look at the designer. You can see that I've added some smart groups. I added very few. Well, there are quite a few in here, but compared to what I have in the regular files, there are a few. And I wanted to limit this just to show you that you don't need a lot of these smart groups to find some really good candidates. Now, let's just go up here. I'll just go to All Securities, click through to the warehouse views, and here are the views that I'm providing to you. Top-down process for market analysis, top-down process for ETF analysis, and my scans, which I use every day. And I'll be going through some, maybe all of them if I have time in these videos. Okay, I'm just going to click on my number 1A, which is for intraday information. I'm doing this during the day. There's about 45 minutes left in the market, and by going to All Securities and just clicking on my 1A, it's my standard scorecard view, except it's intraday, and you can see where there is strength right now. This has been a very choppy day. There was a huge gap down again this morning, and the buyers have stepped in and brought the market back to actually positive territory as I'm doing this. So I'm not going to go through those right now. I just want to point out there's the market analysis views and some ETF analysis views. Also, I've really limited the charts, and the charts that I'm using are charts that I'm going to explain to you and show you why I use these charts. Now, you can download my complete set, but I want to concentrate on these charts just to get you started with the program. What I have here in this short list, this chart here which I'm showing, which I use every day, and I'll explain that. Just a plain, move this over to the side, this is a daily chart. It's got the automatic support and resistance lines built in with the zigzag, or because of the zigzag indicator. If you don't want these charts in here, just edit the indicator and support and resistance lines, and you can just drop down and make them go away. Also, I have a daily chart with intraday statistics, so I can immediately determine the buying power behind a stock. For example, look at this gap up, and it's near its it's actually at the top of its daily range. So it gapped open, traded down a little bit, and now it is near the top of its daily range on heavy volume. If I want to know what's going on with this stock, I can just hold my alternate N key, and depending on whatever service I've selected, more info from the web, you can see that I'm on bar chart. It will go there, but all of these others are available. Okay, let's see if there's any news that bar chart has. Okay, that was on the 12th, so I don't see any fresh news today. I can check another news source by going to, let's just go to FinViz, one above it, and see if there's anything there. No, same news there. So I'm just going to go back to my bar chart. I use bar chart a lot because they're one of the data providers. Okay, then there's a weekly chart with the support and resistance. And normally I have the weekly and daily side by side on my screen. This is an undercut and rally chart. You can see where accumulation was with the light green bars, and the crossover bars are the dark green bars are the crossover bars where the 3 went above the 6. This is position sizing, and I'll explain that later. I've got spreadsheets. If you remember, I'll gladly share them with you so you can position size. And if you position size, this is risk reward for the long trades or the short trades. If I'm doing a long trade, notice that there is a lot more area up here. And I would use this tool. And let's say that I want to buy this, and I'll buy it at today's low and go to today's highs, but I want a color I can read, so I change it to red and pull this out here. So if I were to buy it now at today's high, and I would want to risk, or I would be risking 6.85%. So this is a very handy tool. And if you're playing the short side, you can see it's to the downside. Now let me go back here and do this once more. I didn't point something out. I'm going to do this one more time. Get back over here on that, and these numbers up here, this is your risk, and if you get up to this number right here, this amount would be the amount of your risk. I need to drag that over again. So in other words, I'm risking 6.53%, and if it continues to go, I would have a 6.53% gain here, because this is 1R, 2R, 3R, 4R, and if it will keep going, I would make, if it would go to R4, for example, I would make, which would be $6.20, I would make 4 times my initial risk. Okay, I want to clear that. I'll clear all annotations, get rid of that. Okay, and this is a visual filter back test. If I'm running a filter, for example, and I'm looking for bullish crossovers today, and I use the visual filter back test, it shows me where these green lines are, where every bullish crossover was. Now some of them failed. It was in a downtrend here, but you can see that the 3-day moving average was starting to move up on this right here, and there was a crossover, another one there, so on. So what it does is it transfers the filter from the warehouse view into this chart. Volume point of control line, I'll explain that later. Tells you when the bulls or bears are in control. This one doesn't have the buckets, but this one has the actual buckets, and I'm going to explain that later, or I will be providing PDF files for you to learn what these indicators are. Now this chart shows the S&P or the SPY up here in this window. It says I said SPY, it's SPX. So if this blue line is going up, this stock is outperforming the S&P. And I have a candlestick version, and some people prefer bar charts. Here's a bar chart version. So this is the S&P 500. This is the stock. You can see this stock throughout this period was clearly outperforming the S&P. So those are the only charts you're going to get as a beginner, or for this small installation. That's it for this video. I'm going to come back in the next video and explain what I look for in this chart and how it relates to the warehouse up here.